Welcome back to Confessions of a Magical Mom. If you've been watching our last few professionally put together videos, then you might be saying to yourself, okay, you have my attention now. I think I might be interested in hearing a little bit more about this Disney World experience, but I don't even know where to begin. So we're here today to explain to you in a few simple steps how we put together our Disney trips every time we decide to go. Now, I want to be specific that this is how we put our trips together to go to Walt Disney World in Florida. I know a lot of people get confused about that. There are 2 Disney properties in the United States. We have Walt Disney World in Florida, in Orlando, that has parks within Walt Disney World. And then we have Disneyland in Anaheim, California that also has parks. When you hear people talk about Magic Kingdom, they're talking about Walt Disney World in Florida. And that is where we always go, is to Florida. So everything we're speaking about today is going to be specific to the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida. We personally have a family, have never actually been to Disneyland. It is on our bucket list, so maybe someday we'll get to go there and we will make a video about how to plan a trip there. But to start with, today we're just going to talk about the simple steps that we use whenever we are planning a trip to Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida.
So one of the most important things to choose is whether you want to use a travel agent or plan a trip yourself. So we've used a travel agent in the past, and we've also planned it by ourselves. Personally, I like planning it by myself. I think it gives me a little bit more freedom to do exactly what I want. But if you've never been, I do think it's a good idea to maybe consult with someone that has been before and maybe use a travel agent to start with. So one of the things also, if you do plan this Disney World vacation by yourself, you want to make sure and be looking at the specials. I'll insert a picture up here of what the specials look like in the Disney World app. So you're going to want to make sure that sometimes they run 20% off, sometimes they do special like dining offers, and it's very important because those can save you a lot of money in the end. So you want to make sure you're actually looking at those and applying them to your cart. Also, if you do book and you don't do a special, and then later on in 3 months, Disney releases a special and you want to add it to your trip, you can call Disney and they will add the special to your trip and they'll save you some money to do that in the end. So we've done it both ways. I like planning it by myself. I know a lot of people like using travel agents, so really it's just a personal preference.
Can I add something?
Mm-hmm.
A good Disney travel agent also will not charge you for their services. They actually get paid by Disney when you take your trip. So if you're looking at a travel agent and they are wanting to charge you a fee to book your trip, I would steer clear of them and go find a company that does it obviously at no cost. And a lot of travel agents actually will sometimes offer incentives if you use them, like gift cards, or I know when we used our travel agent, we got like a backpack in the mail and a cup. I don't remember exactly what we got, but a good Disney travel agent, like I think any travel agent, will not charge you for their services.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Well, obviously, the first thing you got to do when you plan a Disney trip is figure out when you're going. Personally, I think you should never go in the summer. It's hot, it's crowded, and it's lines are usually over about an hour each, even on the little rides. That's not fun. When you go you can go in the fall. That's my favorite time to go.
Yeah. Christmas and New Year's is when it's literally the busiest time of the year. And
between Halloween and Thanksgiving, is it transition during that time?
It is transitioned overnight.
Okay, so between Halloween and Thanksgiving, there is a transition that happens overnight between Halloween decorations and Christmas decorations. It's really cool because you can go to one park, you can go to like Magic Kingdom on a Wednesday and it's just Halloween everywhere, and then you go to Hollywood Studios the next morning and it's Christmas trees, and you're like, when did that happen?
It's like a whole new world.
It really is.
You kind of get to experience 2 different experiences at Disney within one trip. So that's a really cool thing to do.
Video about different experiences.
So that's really cool. If you go, I do not recommend going between Christmas and New Year's for your first trip because it is quite literally the busiest time of the year. Parks close within like hours of opening because they reach max capacity.
Yeah.
And it's just, you don't want to do that.
We've never done it. They say there's nothing like spending that week at Disney, and we keep talking as a family that maybe we want to go try it, but I'm just scared to try it during that week when it's so unbelievably crowded.
Daddy's the one who wants to go the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah,
Really
Dad
wants to go
definitely
there.
does.
Imagine.
Now, what if you have to go in the summer because your kids are out of school? It's the only time you can go.
If you have to go in the summer, I think, was it better to go in June or July? But it's best to go in June because July is even hotter and more people because it's almost school time. People are getting the last trips of the year. More people. We personally went in July and we saw the Indiana Jones show at Hollywood, and about half of us almost passed out. It was really bad because you're crowded in the line. No. Also, buy individual water bottles for everyone. Or bring your own because I think they have water fountains.
Yes.
So one of our videos we're going to do later on this week is tips and tricks, and that will be something that we talk about in our tips and tricks is to how to save money and on water and things like that in the park for sure.
So
Yeah.
stay tuned.
I don't think we've been in the spring yet, have we? I don't think any of us have.
We went in February, which is
we went this February.
I guess you could consider that spring
But
or just
The
winter,
thing with
but-
Florida is it really has two seasons. It has summer and not summer.
Yeah.
So if you go in June, July, August, actually all the way into, we've been in December before where you wore shorts because it was so hot. But the month of July and August are so unbearable. I mean, they're almost unbearable. They're so unbelievably hot. Now, if it means going or not going, obviously I'm going to choose to go during those months, but there's going to be some things that we'll make concessions for, like making sure to make time to swim at the hotel and not being at the park the hottest time of the day and things like that. But if you can swing going in the fall, I think our family hands down
Yeah.
would recommend going in the fall. The October time frame, it's a little bit cooler in the evening, but still nice during the day, and it's just, I mean, that's definitely, I would say, our favorite time to go. But you've got to know what works best for you. Some people feel very strongly about not taking their kids out of school for a vacation. And so if that is something that you feel strongly about, then obviously your times are much more limited. If you're willing to take your kids out of school, then you open up a whole nother calendar for you to look at when choosing your trip. So you just have to know what works best for your family. Our family chooses to almost always go in the October-November time frame if we can help
also,
it.
because we have the most birthdays during those months.
We do. We have a lot of birthdays during that time, and so we kind of try to pair it up with birthday trips and things like that. So
But I think in the spring, most parks have a lot of flowers and
Mhm.
gardening done.
yeah.
That's where
So
they
there's a
have
lot
the
of different festivals that go on at Disney, and we'll talk about those. They're at Epcot. We'll talk about those on the day that we talk about Epcot, because there are different experiences that you can experience. I know that was real redundant. There are a lot of different things you can experience depending on what time of year you go to each individual park. So, all right. So once you've decided where you're going to go, the next thing you have to do is you have to decide where you're going to stay when you get there. So there's two schools of thought on staying at when you go on a Disney vacation. There is staying what you call on property, and there's staying what you call off property. So I will go ahead and put a disclaimer at the beginning of this that we have never stayed off property. From the very first trip we went, we have stayed on property because we have decided as a family that we feel like it is worth it. The reason that we stay on property is because it is a Disney hotel and we know what we're getting. Yes, we may be able to find a hotel a little bit cheaper off property, but who knows what it's going to be like once I pull up. Outside of Disney, I don't think that there are a lot of questionable hotels in that area that I've heard people talk about that they've booked and stayed at, and we just feel comfortable booking at a Disney hotel. There are a lot of people that also rent houses. They go through like it's VRBO, but I just recently learned that it's actually Verbo is how you say it, or like an Airbnb and rented a house, especially if you're going with a large group. We have not ever done that, but that is something that a lot of people talk about. So we, like my disclaimer, only stay on property. The reasons we stay on property are because we get transportation from Disney. That means that Disney's Magical Express will pick us up at the airport if we fly. They will provide us transportation straight to our hotel. Once we get there, we ride the bus system to all the parks, to Disney Springs, to other hotels, wherever we want to go on Disney property. We get on that bus. Even if we drive up to the hotel. We literally park our car. We unload our luggage, and then we don't get back in our car until it's time to leave. And that is something that we enjoy as a family because I think it feels a little bit more like a vacation. If you stay off site, they do have parking at the parks, but you'll want to make sure that you allow, that you will have to pay for parking and things like that. Now, if you stay at a Disney hotel, but you still want to take your own car because you just like doing that or whatever, you can take your own car, you can park at the parks, and it does not cost you to do that. But as a family, one of the benefits to us is the Disney transportation that we like to take advantage of, because at the end of a long day, when we've walked 12,000 steps and stayed at the park till midnight to see the fireworks, the last thing we want to do is get in the car and fight the crowd and the traffic to try to get back to our hotel. We'd rather just walk over, get on a bus. Half the time the kids fall asleep on the bus. We ride it to the hotel, we get off, and we walk to our room. So if you choose to stay at a Disney hotel, it can also be very overwhelming when you're making your decision if you've never been, because there are tons of hotels on Disney properties. So definitely make sure you do your research. Now, the thing that will help you the most is to know that Disney hotels are classified into 3 different categories. You have your value hotels, you have your moderate hotels, and you have your deluxe hotels. Now, value are obviously going to be your cheapest hotels. However, all Disney hotels have phenomenal swimming pools. All Disney hotels have theming throughout the entire hotel, and all Disney hotels have some sort of dining option at your hotel, a food court or something like that. Now, as you go up from a value to a moderate, you're going to pay a little bit more, but the biggest difference you're going to find is that your swimming pool at a moderate hotel has a slide. And a lot of moderate hotels actually have more than one swimming pool. Mm-hmm. So that helps because you're not having everybody from the hotel trying to swim in a single pool. The next step up from a moderate is a deluxe hotel. Now, this is going to be like the top of the top. So you're going to have your phenomenal pools. You're going to have, I even think the mattresses and the bedding is a little bit nicer at your deluxe hotels. Yeah. And deluxe hotels have what they call table service dining. So that is where instead of just going into a food court where you just walk up and order a burger or a sandwich, get it, and then go find a seat, it's actually a sit-down restaurant that has a waiter that takes your order and things like that. So you pay a little bit more. So you have to decide as a family what is more important to you. If you're going to spend a lot of time at the hotel, I would recommend spending a little extra money to stay at like a moderate hotel. If you're like, I'm going to sleep at the hotel and that is all I'm going to do, stay at a value. It's literally the same. I mean, you get the same amenities minus a few small differences. Here is our pro tip that we have learned. Start at the bottom, okay? Because once you stay at a deluxe hotel, y'all, it's phenomenal. You're not going to want to go back and stay at a value. So definitely start at the bottom if you're trying to decide, and then work your way up if you want to. And the more you go to Disney, the more time you'll find that you spend at the hotel. Yeah. And so you will want to spend a little bit extra money on the hotel. So like I said, there are tons of different hotels. Do your research. Find out what's important to you, what's important to your family, and then go from there and pick your hotel, because you're not going to be able to move on in the planning process until you've decided what hotel you're going to stay at. If you are traveling with a large family that needs more than just your traditional 4-person hotel room, there are hotel rooms that offer larger rooms. A tip for that would probably be to call Disney and say, hey, I'm coming with 7 people. What are my options? And they'll be able to walk you through that. Or just do, like I said, do some research and find the hotels that fit your family and your family size.
So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is how many days you should go to the parks. So, one of the things you need to figure out when you're going to Disney is how many days are you going to stay at Disney. So, we usually stay about 5 days, and we usually do one day at Magic Kingdom, one day at Epcot, and so, and then we leave one day, typically the middle day, for a break, just to hang out at the hotel, swim, go to Disney Springs if we want, just to relax. So, then another thing is park hopping. Disney offers this feature where, if you pay, it's a little extra, right?
Yeah, it costs extra.
If you pay a little extra, you can basically go to more parks in one day. So, we've been a lot of times, so we know what we want to ride and what not to ride, and what to do. So we might only spend half a day at Hollywood Studios and spend the rest at Epcot, or whatever fits. But personally, if it was your first trip, I would recommend spending one day at each park.
Now you can go into that park and leave that park and go back to that park as many times as you want that day.
Yeah.
On a regular ticket. But to be able to leave that park and go to a different park, you would have to have the hopper option,
Yeah.
which does cost a little extra.
And should you take a rest day? Like I said, we usually take a day in the middle to rest. That is our personal opinion, because you don't want to walk 4 miles, 10 miles.
More than that.
Yeah, 10 miles every day for 5 days straight. You don't really want to do that. I mean, I don't know you, but you probably don't. So we usually take a rest day. I would recommend it personally. So
It's one of my favorite days on our trips.
It
So,
is.
yeah.
Our first trip, we did not take a rest day. And the one thing we took away from it was next time we got to plan a day in the middle to rest, because there is no tired like Disney tired.
Yeah.
For sure.
And usually we learn this too. If you have, really, even if you don't have little kids, it's really nice to go to the park at 9 o'clock or something, stay till 2, go to your hotel for a couple of hours, and then come back and stay all night.
Yeah.
If you don't have little kids, that's a really good plan because there's not as many people. And by the time you get there, all the little kids have left. So
Yeah.
And the weather
shorter
is...
lines, it's cooler. You got a little break in the middle.
And that's the nice thing about the Disney park is that if you get up and go to Magic Kingdom in the morning and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so hot, I'm so tired, I'm hungry, I can't do this anymore, you can leave, especially if you're staying on site. It's super easy. You hop on the bus, take it back to your hotel, swim, take a nap, whatever you want to do, get back on the bus, go back around dinner time, and close out the park. And that's included in your park ticket. You can leave and come as much as you want. But like Hunter said, if you're like, I'm done with Magic Kingdom, I think we should spend the evening at Epcot, then you're going to want to make sure you have a park hopper. So definitely you got to know what your plans are for your trip, so you know if you need a park hopper and you know how many days park tickets you're going to need, because you'll have to decide that.
I'm pretty sure if you decide you want it, can't you go to the service desk
You
at
can.
your hotel and
Yeah.
purchase it at...
So if you get there and you're like, you know what, we do want a park hopper, we've decided this, we got bored today, whatever, you can go to any ticket window at any of the parks, or you can go to the concierge front desk at your hotel and they can add that to your ticket and you just pay the difference. Same if you decide you want to add a day to your ticket. If you're like, we didn't plan to go to the park today, but we changed our mind, we really want to go because we didn't get to do this ride or whatever, go to any ticket window or your concierge at the hotel and they can add that for you. And every day that you add to your ticket, the price of the day admission goes down, so it gets a little bit cheaper. Like a one-day ticket isn't the same as, like, a 3-day ticket isn't the same as 3 one-day tickets, if that makes sense. So
It's like a bundle and save.
They
Yeah.
also,
One of the most important parts about your trip is going to be your dining. So you need to decide if you want to have a meal with characters and have table service where you can sit down, or if you just want to do a quick service and have time to go and do more things in the park. With that, you need to make sure you make reservations, especially if you want to get those good character meals, because those can be very hard to get. For dining, you can book 180 days out from your arrival day, correct?
Mhm.
So I know that seems like a very long time out and like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to plan that far out, but I promise you it's worth it. You're going to be happy when you get there and you get to go to Crystal Palace. You get to maybe, if you're lucky, eat at Cinderella's Castle, because you did book so far in advance that you were able to grab those really good meals for your trip. So,
If you are like us and you go to Disney for the rides, like that's why you go, then you're going to want to get fast passes. These are, you can book them for certain rides, and basically when you get there, it gives you a 1 hour time slot. And if you go to that ride during that 1 hour, you can scan your Magic Band and you get to skip the entire standby line. So while Seven Dwarfs Mine Train may have a 100-minute wait, you only have to wait like 5 minutes because you skipped the line. And I think you get 3 a day per person, and
they have to all be at the same park.
they have to all be at the same park. Some of the parks are tiered, which is kind of difficult, but that means you can only select certain rides, like only, how do you say it? Like what's a like demonstration?
Like at Hollywood Studios, you can't get a fast pass for Slinky Dog and Rock and Roller Coaster. Those are all tier 1, so you can get one of those, and then your other 2 have to be out of tier 2, because those are the high sought after rides.
So that can be a little difficult and quite frustrating, but that's how they do it. So you want to book your fast passes for the rides you absolutely want to do. Like that's the ones you want to book it for. But then again, if your ride you really want to do is like It's a Small World, that on average has about a 5-minute wait. You don't want to waste a fast pass on that. If it's one that you know has a short wait, normally then you would book it for another ride that has a long wait, like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It's really rare to find it under like an hour and a half. So you would want to book it for that if you want to ride that one. And
research, like we were saying earlier, doing the research will help you know what good uses of fast passes and what rides are kind of a waste of a fast pass.
and on the app, doesn't it tell you how long the waits are?
That'll be in a tip and trick, yeah.
you want to book them earlier in the day too, because you don't want to be running around the park at different times trying to get to your fast pass places on time. I say you should book them back to back if possible, so that you can get them all out of the way, and then you're free to do whatever you want for the rest of the day. Because it's really difficult to have one at 9 o'clock. You do that, you got like 2 hours, and then you got to rush to the other side of the park to do your other fast pass.
If you miss a fast pass, though, there is no penalty. So, like, if you have a fast pass and you're like, I'm tired, I'm going back to the hotel, I don't even care that I'm going to miss my fast pass for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, that's okay, you just don't show up. It's no big deal, there's no penalty for it or anything like that.
And like she said, you can book dining. If you do book dining, make sure you don't book fast passes at the same time. You will not get both of them done at the same time.
Mhm.
So you got to book them separately, and probably not next to each other either. That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, you'll need a little travel time. So,
Yeah.
when do I book my fast passes? Did I write
60
that down?
days out.
60 days out from your arrival date is when you'll be able to book fast passes.
If you want to get the ones like Slinky Dog, Seven Dwarfs, the really high-end rides, the one that take a lot of time, get those first.
Yeah, you got to be on that morning to get those rides that are hard to get fast passes
Remember,
for.
there's multiple people have to book for that day too.
So,
A lot.
all right. Good job, Lily.
Okay. One thing you also have to decide is whether you're gonna drive or fly. Hold on. A couple pros and cons on that is pros for flying. You drive to the airport, you park, you get in, you get there, you grab your luggage, and you just get on the Magical Express. And it takes you straight to your hotel. You unpack, you just do whatever you want that day. And then, for driving, it is better because you can take a lot more stuff, and more people, and it's way cheaper
Most of the time.
most of the time. But another thing is if you're driving, like, if you live more than a day drive like we do, then you need to plan for, like, a hotel and food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I personally prefer flying because it's just easier, and I don't like sitting in the car for, like, 18 hours. It's just not fun to me.
I prefer driving, mainly because I'm scared of airplanes. But there are definitely pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
There are.
And we fly a lot, and I suck it up, and I hate it, but it does get you there faster. But I do like driving because you can stop and do other things
Yeah.
along the way, too, and make your vacation just a little bit more extended, like we did our first trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, our first trip, didn't we stop at like 4 different places?
Well,
something
and
that?
like when you take your own car, like Hunter said, it doesn't limit you to what you can pack. Like we all know airlines have limits on bag sizes and you have to pay extra and stuff. And we just took a trip this October and we actually had to buy a suitcase in the gift shop to get all of our Halloween candy from Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. We went to the Halloween party and we had to buy a suitcase to get all our candy home. If we had been driving, we could have just thrown it in the back of the car and it would have been fine. So there definitely are pros and cons. I know a lot of people that are like, we only fly. No way I'm doing that drive. And then some people like the dad in our family, my husband, their dad says, nope, not flying. I'm driving. So it's a personal preference.
See you there.
It definitely, yeah. We'll meet you there. We'll meet you at the airport.
I don't care what we do.
Lily doesn't have a preference. Hunter and I are big time. We should fly. Caroline prefers to drive, and Dad prefers to drive. So a lot of times, what it really comes down to for our family is time. When you drive, you've got to allow extra time because you got to have, for us, we've got to have 2 days to get there and 2 days to get home. And then also cost. When you have a large family, it's not cheap to just jump on a plane and fly to Florida. You've got to budget that in for sure. So, this video was not made to make you feel overwhelmed or stressed about planning a Disney vacation. We gave you a lot of information, but really just a little bit of research is all you need. If you really just don't feel comfortable, get a travel agent. Let the travel agent do it for you. That is what they do. They love doing it. If you have any questions, feel free to post on our page or in the comments here, and we'll try to answer them to the best of your ability. We are not travel agents. We do not get paid for doing this, which it's literally just something we love doing. So I love helping people plan their trips, but ultimately you have to know what's best for your family. And I will say, my general consensus is that if somebody goes to Disney and they did not have a good time, they did not enjoy themselves, they probably just didn't plan, because that is something that I will say about Disney. It is not Disney World. It is not a vacation that you can just show up and wing it. No matter how many times we've been, we still plan it out because there's so much to do. It is so overwhelming and it does cost a lot of money. So the last thing you want to do is spend all that money and then get there and not get to do anything that you want to do. So you definitely want to take the time to plan your trip out. We would love to help you if you have any questions. Like I said, we aren't travel agents. We don't get paid. It's just something we enjoy doing. Or reach out. Find a travel agent in your area that can help you, and just make sure that they are, well-versed in Disney, and that they are not charging you to do it, because it should definitely be free. But part of the fun is planning, I think. And it's something that we like to do as a family. So get your kids involved. There's a great book called Burn Bombs Guide to Walt Disney World. There's an adult version and there's a kid version. The first time we went, I purchased the kid version and I gave it to my kids with sticky notes and said, go through. It's got lots of pictures. It talks about all the restaurants. I said, go through, look at the different things and let me know what you want to do. And then I looked through the adult version and we just did our best to try to make sure that everybody got to do at least something that they wanted to do. So anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed our video. It's a little bit longer than usual, but we had a lot of information to say, and we'll be back tomorrow. So we'll see you real soon.
Bye.
Bye.